Ladies and gents, what do we have here? This is the new 7 1/4 rear handle saw from Hercules. This was first announced, I want to say like late November of 2024. They said it was supposed to be released sometime in spring of 2025. We are now a week before Memorial Day, and I believe these started hitting just last week already. They're not in the shelves. I ended up calling my local Harbor Freight. They said they didn't have any, and I ended up calling the next nearest Harbor Freight to me, and they said they had one in stock. I believe every store's been getting a shipment of 2. They can only sell 1, and they're keeping the other one for like a display. So, quick look at the box. This is tool only. I'm a big fan of these Hercules, like the way they do their branding and the boxes and all that. I like the shimmery, look to this right here, and just the way they design their boxes. This pretty much just states that it's a 7 1/4 blade left rear handle circular saw, tool only, 15 amp corded power, faster than corded, and up to 7 and 25 cuts per charge. This one pretty much states the same thing. This side, also this side. Let's take a look at the back side right here. Well, there's some of the specs. 9.8 pounds. I know there's some that are heavier. All right, let's open it up. Out of the box, you got your owner's manual. You got your included blade, and it's actually printed on the correct side. The logo and all the information is printed on the side that's got a spin. And then you got your vacuum port adapter that'll bolt onto here. Let's take a quick look at this saw. This is my first time seeing it. Being Hercules is the last, right now, it's the last to the game when it comes to these rear handle circular saws that have been, growing in popularity lately. Hercules is the last to the game, so I mean, I definitely expect to see a lot of ideas and stuff from other manufacturers. Right off the bat, this handle reminds me a lot of the DeWalt. How it's a nice girthy handle, and it's got kind of like a shape to contours for your hand. The battery mounts to the top, very similar fashion to the Milwaukee, the DeWalt. Which other one? I think that's it. Yeah, like the way it mounts. Either the connection to the rear or to the front, not to the side like the Flex or the Bosch or the Makita XGT. Right off the bat, it's a good quality saw. The casting is nice. The grip feels good. It's got your typical push to unlock the trigger. The rafter hook, again, very similar fashion to the DeWalt or Milwaukee. I'll put them side by side right now. I like the exposed battery cage. It's got the window right here to reduce weight. Yeah. This was it was $149, tool only, no coupons, no nothing. Looking for the blade lock. I mean, the blade changer tool. Where do you store it? Right under the handle here. Similar fashion to the like I said, the Milwaukee. You got your tether loop right here. Yeah, let's slap the blade on, see how it looks. For the blade, you know, the spindle lock, it is all plastic. That's kind of a slight, you know, zonk, I would say. One thing I do gotta say, a lot of the saws that have been being released lately, they don't have the diamond arbor, like the, you know, like the older worm drive style saws, and pretty surprising to find that. It comes with a diamond knockout already, you know, and the blade comes with the diamond knocked out already. Yeah, that's surprising. Here's the blade. Here's the saw with the blade on. Pretty snazzy. That's the sticker right there. It's got a 5,800 RPMs. 5/8 diamond arbor. Nice high RPM saw. It does have detents, which is surprising, you know. It's got a detent right there, 15. Another one at 22.5, I believe. Another one at 30. 45 detent. The detents feel nice. It's like, you know, it's like a positive detent. You can hear it, feel it too, which is nice. Another surprise about this saw is that the shoe is magnesium. You know, in your typical skill saw fashion, how they used to promote magnesium a lot for being lightweight. I'm not sure if the rest of the metal components of the saw are magnesium. Let's play around with the depth gauge real quick, loosen it. It's a little stiff to my liking. You could always loosen this up and, you know, fine tune it, but it's a little snug. I kind of prefer the saws that kind of have this real loose already, but not a deal breaker. I'm trying to see if I could find something on here that says some type of stamping that might say magnesium. Now let's talk about the dust port. One screw to put it on, one screw on one side, then it's got like an indentation where it'll lock in there. Similar fashion to, again, the Milwaukee Metabo HPTs, very similar also. One thing right off the bat, as soon as you put this dust port, this lever would not go all the way up. It should go a little more to unlock the depth gauge. It'll still open, but it's just a little more slightly tighter, because you need that little more push. So you're definitely gonna have to adjust this to kind of either Yep, here it is with the depth gauge, you know, all the way up. You got that rear handle stance right there. Here's the Milwaukee rear handle next to the Hercules. You could take some time to look at the similarities, differences, you could say, you know. But, you know, just by looking at it, you could tell that the Hercules borrowed a lot of design ideas from the Milwaukee and some from the DeWalt also. One of the things that stands out to me is the blade guard construction, how it's like a kind of like a clamshell two-piece where you got the screws holding it. Same thing with the Milwaukee. I know the new Milwaukee Gen 2, they're trying to reduce weight and, you know, bring this saw more to, you know, more on par with all the ones that have been releasing as far as rear handle, other brands. The new Milwaukee is going to be like a one-piece construction, like a one-piece mold. Similar to the Skill, the Makita, even the DeWalt. You know, another one actually is the Bosch that has, you know, kind of like a clamshell that uses the screws to two-piece. Flex is one piece, rigid is one piece. And the rest of these are all one piece. Another similarity that just looks very, very similar to the Milwaukee is they didn't use like a stamping on the magnesium itself. They just put like this plate with the measurements and the number. Very, very similar to the Milwaukee. The way they used, you know, like a metal plate. This even looks like identical, you know. How you got the small window for the 0 degree and the larger for the 45. Even the way this whole thing is just molded and built, it's very, very similar. Motor housing looks very, I mean, just the design of it, you know. This one also has a plastic spindle lock, so I guess it's no big deal. Very, very similar. Even the way the handle mounts to the blade guard right there. Even the way the orientation, the way the battery sits, you know, with the connections facing the handle right there. One thing that I do gotta give it to the Hercules is, if you notice how they got like the blade guard, is there's like no physical connection between the battery housing, and Hercules actually molded, you know, mold the metal to the battery housing. That's interesting design right there. You can see the drain in case you get water there. They just have like a little slit on the side right there. Let's look at the rafter hooks. Like I said, very similar to the Milwaukee. Identical, if I would, you know, say. The handle, top handles, I think it's a little better on the Hercules. Like I said, it's girthier, kind of fits in the hand better. This one's real thin. But yeah, very similar saws. Here they are from the rear. I like how Hercules used a lot more rubber though. There's a lot more rubber contact, you know, towards the top here, the handle, and especially here is like a very rough texture. The Milwaukee just has rubber just where you actually put your hand, and, you know, the bottom part here. Once again, the Hercules with more rubber, even like around the motor housing. This is a part that gets worn out a lot on these saws, just because of the way you know, when you're using them, you pretty much always lay them like that, so there's always that contact with the surfaces here. So that's got, you know, it's got a bumper right there that protects it. Good ventilation on the motor. The Milwaukee doesn't have ventilation here, but it's got some down here. So does the Hercules. And this here kind of shoots air out to kind of help with the dissipate some of the dust that gets created on the line of sight. The blade wrench, bottom of the chassis right here, very similar. Bottom plate. The Hercules has a lot wider plate. Take a look at it right here. Very similar lower, the lower guard, you could tell it looks almost identical. You got these ribs right there, and then you got the two, very, very similar. Both of these share the same exact RPM specs. Can't really see it right there. The Milwaukee's 5800. So is the Hercules. Hercules, 12 amp hour. See how it fits. Perfect fit. You can still access the battery gauge from the top. Milwaukee, high output, 12 amp hour. Mounts the same exact way. Hercules also has an LED light. Just like the Milwaukee. This one appears to be like a better quality. It's got like a little diffuser. The Milwaukee seems like just like a really old school light. Same exact spot too. Let's give it a quick trigger pull. So after messing around with it for a little bit, I noticed right off the bat, it's got a fully charged battery. I'll give it, some trigger pulls, and it's kind of like a hit or miss, but sometimes it'll shut down by itself, and then the light will flash, infinitely until I let go of the trigger. It'll do this randomly. It might do it 2-3 times in a row, and then the next trigger pull, it's, solid, but it seems to be pretty consistent. I don't know if I got a dud. I'll show you what I mean. Oh, and another thing I kind of noticed is that you kind of get a slight pinch, kind of like an uncomfortable feeling when you push on the trigger. You'll get like a slight pinch. Here it goes. Not let go of the trigger. It shut off by itself and the light's flashing. So it'll do this very random. I'll let go of the trigger now. Do it again. Did it once more. I don't know what's going on, to be honest with you. Beats me. I think I got it. Last video I made where I reviewed the Bosch, I also compared it to its predecessor, which is the corded worm drive type saw. And I thought it was only fair to kind of review where pretty much where the predecessor for this one, and it's, yep, a Harbor Freight classic right here. The Chicago Electric power tool. No, it's not cordless. I removed the cord just so it's not kind of in the way right there. But this is what Harbor Freight used to sell. Used to walk into Harbor Freight looking for a professional saw, 7 1/4 rear handle. Well, you got the original worm drive. This is a worm drive, but golly, is this just, it's a very crappy saw. The castings are really rough. The way it's built, this is pretty much a copycat of the Skill Saw 77. Aluminum housing, like I said, very rough castings. This one actually had to knock out some burrs that it had, you know, blocking the airflow. This thing had just crazy burrs. I opened this up to remove the cord, and it's just the way the trigger is. It's just super crappy. You know, just super crappy construction of these saws. So, but I am surprised to see Harbor Freight, especially with this new Hercules line. They've improved a lot on it. You know, like I said, this is for normal price $149, tool only. When you're comparing it against a Milwaukee, which is now it's $279 for their rear handle. I mean, this is a bargain, and it's pretty much a same specs, very similar design as the Milwaukee M18 Fuel. So very glad to see Harbor Freight's coming a long way with their tools. Here they are together. Old school Harbor Freight. This is the new school Harbor Freight. Thanks for watching. One thing to add is that the Hercules is just slightly more narrow than the Milwaukee. You know, laying flat on the motor housing, both of them. You could see the Hercules is about an inch more narrow. Another thing to note, the Hercules is slightly shorter than the Milwaukee. They're both standing on the shoe on the table. Not a real scientific way of measuring, but you can tell it's level right there, and you still got, it's about an inch